All right, so good evening everyone and welcome to the fourth session of our workshop series Tracing Climate Change, TRACE. As a brief reminder, TRACE is a European research project funded by the Erasmus Plus program. Its main goal is to deepen our understanding of climate change impacts across diverse geomorphological environments through fieldwork, workshops, open access educational resources, and cross-border collaboration among universities. The project promotes knowledge, environmental awareness, and the development of key skills. At the same time, it strengthens cooperation among European higher education institutions and fosters the international exchange of expertise, contributing to the integration of innovative interdisciplinary methods in geoscience research and teaching. It is a great pleasure to host you today, bringing together students, researchers, professionals in one workshop. This fourth workshop in the TRACE series focuses on a especially important theme and very much different from the themes we had the previous 3 weeks. So we will deal with how scientific knowledge can be effectively communicated and transferred to students, to educators, and to society in general. This is crucial as the impact of scientific research depends not only on discovery, but also on how well it is understood, shared, and applied. For this reason, today's session is structured around 3 complementary presentations. The first one will introduce results from fundamental research, what we might call core or frontline science, and explore how this can be translated into accessible knowledge for university teaching, as well as adapted into engaging and interactive approaches for education in primary and secondary schools even. We will then move to our second speaker, who will guide us through the pedagogical dimension, presenting educational approaches and methodologies that support effective teaching and learning in this field. Finally, we will broaden our perspective to society as a whole. In this last part, we are delighted to welcome a journalist highlighting the vital role of science communication. It is essential for scientists and journalists to work together, ensuring that scientific knowledge is conveyed accurately and with a meaningful way to the wider public. So we will start with the first presentation now by Konstantina Liberopoulou and Eleni Akmakidou. And before I give the floor to those two, I would like first to say a few things about our speakers. So, Konstantina Liberopoulou is a geologist and researcher at the Department of Geology and Geoenvironment at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. Her research focuses on coastal geomorphology, with particular interest in coastal erosion and coastal vulnerability. She is also actively participating in European research projects, contributing both to the scientific work and to the management and coordination of project activities. She is part of the TRACE project. Eleni Akmakidou, the second speaker of the first presentation, is a geologist and a researcher again at the Department of Geology and Geoenvironment at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. She actively participates in European research projects studying the impacts of climate change on coastal geomorphology and sea level. She also has experience in experiments that apply environmentally friendly solutions to mitigate coastal erosion, as well as in educational activities that promote environmental awarenesses. So, Konstantina and Eleni, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will start sharing my screen. Please confirm me that you can see my screen also.
Yes, but not as a full screen. Now it's perfect. Yes, yes.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here. Also, many thanks to Professor Niki Velpidou for the introduction. Today, we want to show how scientific research can move from the lab into real-world applications and learning experiences. Our presentation is divided into two parts. The first is science in action. We will see real examples related to coastal erosion and extreme events. Then we will move to the second part, which is about connecting science with learners. We will show how field experiences and digital tools can help communicate complex processes. So let's begin. Now, maybe? Perfect. As you already know from previous workshops, climate change is no longer a distant future problem. One of the most important consequences is sea level rise, which directly affects coastal zones worldwide. Even a half-meter rise by 2050 will put many coastal cities at risk, accelerating erosion and flooding. Coastal areas are extremely dynamic systems, and climate change is increasing the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. And sometimes we don't need to look at global maps like this one that we have here. The impacts are visible in our own country. In February 2026, Greece experienced an intense storm system that affected many coastal areas. Strong winds and large waves caused significant damages in several regions, with Naxos and Kefalonia Islands among the areas that came under severe pressure from the sea. Here is the meteorological map with our case studies, and as you can see, almost the whole country faced an intense rainfall. So to help you more, here is Naxos Island and at the Aegean Sea, and here Kefalonia Island at the Ionian Sea. Local media reported destroyed infrastructure, damaged beaches, and strong wave activity. These photos show how damages at Agios Prokopios Beach in Naxos. The storm waves caused severe erosion and infrastructure damages. Sea Beach in Kefalonia is another example where erosion processes reshaped and almost disappeared the coastline. Let's take a look at the distance between the stairs and the shoreline. This photo is from 2011. Now, you can observe in the picture of 2024 the difference of the distance between the stairs and the sea. It had been reduced dramatically, as you can see. The next one is after the rainfalls of February. The stairs has almost been destroyed and from the wave energy, and the total view from the sea beach of how it's now and how has been altered. Of course, this wasn't only caused from one storm in February, but the erosion rate is very fast and each storm can cause even more damages. This is where scientists begin their investigation. When we approach such events, the goal is to break down the problem into processes. We analyze meteorological data, wave conditions, and coastal morphology. At this point, the question is, Was this just a normal storm or something unusual? Let's explain step by step what happened, especially at Naxos. The research conducted by Niki Evelpidou showed that this was caused by a combination of effects. The tide was at elevated phase, contributing additional 10 to 15 centimeters at mean sea level. A drop in atmospheric pressure of 13 to 15 hectopascal caused a sea level rise of approximately 13 to 15 centimeters more. Then, strong winds, which blew for several hours over the Aegean Sea, transported large volumes of water towards the coast and generated intense wave activity. The effect of winds at 20 to 35 centimeters. So the total meteorological sea level rise was 35 to 50 centimeters. And now we add the contribution of wave setup and run-up. This is unique in every site depending on the bathymetry and the slope. In our case, it further intensified the phenomenon along the coast with water level exceeding 1 meter, producing visible coastal flooding conditions. In this case, the data showed that the combination of wind and wave conditions was extremely rare. But understanding the event also requires studying the coastal and geomorphological system itself. Let's take a look at this satellite image of Plaka Beach in Naxos Island. Is one of the areas that was affected from the rainfalls of February. We can recognize the presence of submerged formations visible in the nearshore zone. Are they important for the protection of the coast? Let's see. For helping you more, have a look at the orange lines. These are beach rocks. Is the submerged formations that we talked before. What is beach rocks? Beach rocks are coastal rocks formed by the rapid sedimentation of beach sediments by calcium carbonate. They are a trace of where the coastline used to be in the past and also show us the zone where waves were breaking and depositing sediment thousands of years ago. Today, these beach rocks remain in the shallow coastal zone and act as a natural line of defense for today's shoreline. They help stabilize the beach, reduce wave energy, and therefore contribute to reducing coastal erosion. The area of Plaka, where we had the huge damages, has 3 rows of submerged beach rocks. Part of the first row of the beach rock was removed from some locals. That's why we have the dust line here. The result, the barrier against the wave energy removed, and the beach is unprotected from intense events like this one that happened in February. Understanding how these natural structures work is essential when we're thinking about coastal protection strategies. Another natural feature that protects the shoreline is dunes. What you can see in this image is a road that has been built directly on top of sand dunes in Plaka Beach. Dunes also act as a barrier against waves and storms. When natural coastal systems like dunes are altered or weakened by human activity, their protective function is reduced, making coastal areas more vulnerable to erosion and flooding. There are several ways to face these challenges. So the question is how we can protect these areas. Let's see. One common approach is hard engineering with structures like seawalls or breakwaters. These can offer immediate protection, but they're often expensive, visually intrusive, and may disturb natural environments and coastal dynamics. Another approach is managed retreat. This means moving houses, roads, or other infrastructures further back and allowing nature to reclaim space that is naturally part of the coastal system. In theory, this can be a very effective long-term solution, but in practice, it is often socially, economically, and politically difficult, especially in areas that is heavily developed. This is why growing focus is being placed on nature-based solutions. These approaches try to work with the natural behavior of the coast rather than against it and enhance the protective mechanism that already exists in nature. In this case, we designed an experimental artificial dune system at Agios Georgios Beach in Naxos, which began in December 2025. The goal was simply to build a dune. Rather, the experiment aims to understand how dunes naturally form and stabilize beaches, and how we can support this process in vulnerable coastal areas. To do this, scientists first study the characteristics of the site, including wind patterns, sediment availability, beach slope, and wave energy. Oops, sorry. These parameters helps us to design a structure that mimics the natural formation of the dunes, allowing sand to accumulate and stabilize over time. One of the most important factors in this process is wind. To design the experiment, we need to understand the local wind regime because the wind is the main driver of the sediment transport and dune formation. Data from Naxos Airport shows that the dominant wind direction is from north to northwest, particularly during summer months. These are the well-known Meltemi winds that we have in Aegean region. Most wind speeds fall within the 7 to 22 knot range, which is strong enough to mobilize sand grains and transport sediment across the beach surface. Over time, this wind-driven transport allows sand to accumulate and form dune ridges, which act as a natural barrier that help protect the coastline. And now, you can see in the photo how the dune started in December and how it looks now after interacting with the wind and sediment transport. I believe that you can observe here a significant change. This experiment has an additional value. Not only does it show that it can be set and protect the coast, but also contributes to the overall knowledge. By observing and monitoring how the system evolves, scientists can learn which conditions allow dunes to form successfully. This knowledge can then be applied to other coastal sites that face similar erosion problems, making the approach transferable and adaptable. Another innovative approach that we are working on involves artificial induced natural reefs. This leads to the Nature for Nature, which is based on research developed by Professor Niki Velpidou and Jan Saitis. The idea is to trigger natural processes that create protective structure using existing sediment, like the beach rocks that we talked before. This work has 2 European patents. Let's briefly explain how the process works. At first, local sediment and seawater is collected from the area that we are interested, like here at the first photo. After that, the lab work starts. We have bacteria analysis and identification in order to produce large colonies of them, and then we mix them with the sediment that we collected. The sediment can be in any shape, it depends from our preference or the guidelines that we may have. At this application, you can see them in small tiles or at this tube, we can say, shape. Certain bacteria naturally induce carbonate precipitation, which can bind sediments particles together. This allows the creation of artificial beach rocks. It should be noted that it also reduces CO2 in the environment. How? Through their biological process, bacteria precipitate carbonate salts. These carbonate salts are essentially natural cement. As a result, CO2 is absorbed from the environment and through the induced but natural process is bound within the natural cement that is created. Now, let's see a real application. One pilot application took place at the Laveri coast in Piraeus. For our Greek participants, this area is located near to Mikrolimano, and of course you can visit it in order to see it. The municipality of Piraeus, after the application, had several advantages. First, improved water quality. The structures are made from natural materials and encourage biological activity. They help create conditions that support natural filtration processes in the marine environment. This can contribute to better water circulation and overall improve the water quality. Second, strengthening of port infrastructures. By stabilizing the seabed and reducing the impact of waves and erosion, these nature-based solutions can help protect nearby coastal and port structures. This means that infrastructure becomes more resilient to extreme weather events. Another important benefit is the strengthening of local fauna and flora. The structures provide surfaces and habitats where marine organisms can attach, grow, and develop. Over time, this supports biodiversity and helps restore local ecosystems. Additionally, the result is more natural compared to traditional engineering solutions. Instead of using large concrete structures that may disturb the environment, this method blends more smoothly with the natural coastal landscape. Finally, this is a real nature-based solution. It works by using and enhancing natural processes rather than replacing them with artificial systems, which makes it more sustainable and environmentally friendly in long term. At this slide, you can see some photos from our lab and the tiles that we created. It was approximately 55, and here the bacteria that we collected from Piraeus. Here you can see better the result that we had and how are installed at Villa Veri coast. You can observe only the first row, but we have also tiles more deeper. But science doesn't stop at research and engineering solutions, right? So now we move to the second part of our presentation, and the floor is yours, Eleni.
Thank you very much, Konstantina. Now we move from the scientific application of these solutions that Konstantina showed you to their role in education and in community engagement. To begin with, it is very important that local communities understand what is happening and why these kinds of solutions are being applied, whether we are talking about artificial dunes in Naxos or artificial beach rocks in Piraeus. I would like you to imagine yourself living right next to the coast, and one day you see people arrive in front of your house with wooden structures, starting to build something on the beach. Your first reaction would probably be, what is happening here? Is someone building something? Why is this being placed on the beach? And this is exactly what happened during the dune installation in Naxos. Many local people stopped by to see what's going on and ask questions. And this is very important because nature-based solutions are often are different from quick technical fixes. They are often built in situ, directly on the environment, and they usually need time, care, and community understanding in order to work properly. When people are informed, they are much more likely to support this kind of efforts and respect them and help them and take care of them. This is where science, communication, and education becomes essential. And learning about educational and environmental processes does not have to remain purely theoretical. It can also be interactive, engaging, and even fun. And that is one of the strongest ways to build real connection between science, learners, and society. That is why we participate in outreach activities, workshops, and collaborations. We strongly believe that if science is not communicated to the public, it loses part of its impact. Field activities are one of the most effective ways to engage learners. When students visit a coastline, they can directly observe features like erosion patterns, dunes, sediment transport. This creates opportunities for discussion, curiosity, and critical thinking, which are essential elements for scientific learning. A key part of our work is carried out through initiatives such as Civis and Trace, which strongly support the connection between research, education, and society. CIVIS promotes innovative educational formats such as the blended intensive programs or BIPs. These combine online learning with short-term physical mobility. This allows students and researchers from different countries to collaborate. The logic behind BIPs are not only to transfer knowledge, but to create safe space where participants engage with real-world challenges. In our case, this includes field trips, as I said before, where participants observe coastal processes directly. They collect data and experience scientific methods in practice. This hands-on approach helps learners better understand complex environmental issues, such as they move beyond theory into real-life applications. At the same time, TRACE plays an important role, supporting role. It helps us process and analyze the data that we collected during these field activities. And then this data is later transformed into educational material. This educational material can be used in teaching, in digital tools, and future learning activities. In this way, there's a continuous circle from field observation to data analysis to educational content, making science more accessible and impactful for learners. This is just for you to take a taste to see what we are doing during the field. I will let you see all the video so you can have a better view.
Calcium carbonate from boulders that are sitting in the surface of a terrace. Now, here, like I said, they're basically gone.
We would measure from the top of the tidal notch to where mean sea level stands nowadays. Yeah, or else it's to the bottom too, like in the
These courses weren't just an educational program. They were an experience that connected the past with the present, science with the daily life, knowledge with exploration. Participants not only learn how climate change leaves its mark on a tectonically active landscape, but also how they can contribute to a more sustainable approach to resource management.
Thank you, Konstantina. And let's see now. You saw how are the field trips, and now we will see how we engage younger learners. Engaging young generations with topics like climate change and environmental science is not always easy. These are very important topics, but they can feel quickly too complex, too technical, or too far from everyday life if they are presented only through theory. And that is why we try to make learning more interactive and playful, immersive. We use different approaches for different ages and audiences. Here, for example, in the first photo, you can see board game. It's about climate change. In the second, you can see experiment for children about flash flood. And then later, you can see hands-on activities and VR tools, such as 3D landscape model and virtual field glasses. These methods help turn scientific knowledge into something people can explore, experience, and enjoy. Instead of only listening, learners can play, interact, and imagine and discover, and this often creates a much stronger connection with the topic. Speaking about digital tools, let's take a look here. Another way to disseminate the science to the public all around the world is by using digital tools. And we can communicate science and make complex topics more accessible. These tools allow us to virtually bring people into the field and explore landscapes together. One example is the use of ArcGIS story maps. As you can see, in our case, it's Kefalonia. We combine maps, we combine images, we combine videos, and we can explain geological landscapes and geomorphological processes in a clear and visually engaging way. You can scan the QR to interact it with your own pace and your own time. And you can see another example of ArcGIS story maps. This is an example that connects the past with the future in an interactive and visual way. You can see in the video that the user interacts with the figures. In every scroll, we can see different sectors connecting geology, history, and nature. With every pushing of a button, you can access many visualized information. We really encourage you to scan the QR to see more details. They are very nice tools. And even if you lack the opportunity or the ability to travel to the location, we have virtual field trips. Virtual field trips allows everyone to visit the coastal environments digitally and explore processes and understand scientific concepts. Here you will see a video of an example of how is it to use virtual field trip.
Welcome to Naxos. This virtual field trip will give you the opportunity to travel back through time and explore how sea level has changed during the last 6,000 years. Close to Naxos Airport, there is a spectacular coastal landscape. A coastal lagoon separated from the sea through a sandspit, a tombolo connecting the beach to a small rocky islet, beach rocks and sand dunes. The lagoon of Naxos Airport did not exist 6,000 years ago. Instead, the area was a bay protected by an elongated beach rock slab parallel to the coastline.
Thank you. So all the educational material that is presented at this workshop series and many more are available in the e-class. You only have to create a free account. You may scan the QR to do this, and then you are ready to explore all the material anytime, anywhere, at your own pace. And I would also like to take a moment to introduce an upcoming event that we are organizing. This is an international workshop under the framework of the International Association of Geomorphologists in Naxos. Why in Naxos? Naxos is located at the heart of the Cyclades in the central Aegean Sea, making it an especially valuable study area for climate change impacts. What we observe here can act as an early signal for wider changes across the Aegean. And the Aegean itself can be seen as an important indicator for future environmental pressures across the Mediterranean. This workshop will bring together researchers, professionals, students from all around the world, creating a space to share knowledge, experiences, innovative ideas related to geomorphology and environmental challenges. Of course, these events like this are important because they allow us not only to present our work, but also to learn from others and build collaborations across countries, disciplines. We would also like to encourage you to participate. There is an opportunity to register and submit your own abstract, so you can actively contribute to the discussion and share your work with an international audience, and take part to workshop for practical experience in developing and applying virtual field trips in geomorphological research and education. It's a great chance to be part of a global scientific community and engage in meaningful dialogue around topics such as coastal processes, climate change, and nature-based solutions. To conclude, our work is to create a continuous connection between research, real-world application, and education. From understanding coastal hazard to developing solutions to engaging learners from the lab to the society. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for this so nice presentation. We have some time. If there is a question, you may turn on your microphone, or you may write down your question at your chat. Otherwise, I will go to the next speaker. Okay, if you have something to share with us, you may do it in later also, writing a message. So let's go to the next speaker, which is Kostas Kalovrektis, and I will take just a few seconds to present our speaker. Konstantinos Kalovrektis is a researcher and lecturer in educational technology and STEM education. He holds a PhD in measurement systems and data processing, and he has also worked in postdoctoral research in STEM education. His work focuses on innovative teaching methods such as educational robotics, physical computing, and digital learning environments. He is actively involved in European research projects linking technology with education and training. His work aims to bring modern technology into the classroom in a meaningful and engaging way. Last but not the least, we are very happy to say that we have Kostas Kalovrektis in our team in Trace project. Kostas, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Nikki. I have already shared my slides, and it's my pleasure as a member of E3 STEM to present a topic about how to attract people to science under the title of this presentation, Inspiring Action, Engaging the Public with Science. Science plays a crucial role in our everyday lives, from the technology we use to the decision we make. This is true. However, many people still feel disconnected from science or find it difficult to understand it. And this is true. It's true. This is why engaging the public with science is more important than ever, not only to inform, but also to inspire actions. So the question is how we can make science more interactive and engaging for everyone, how we can engage this young generation in this image in science pathways. Engaging the public with science is important for several reasons. First of all, it helps people make informed decisions in their daily lives, whether it's about health, environment, or technology. It also builds trust in scientific knowledge and helps combat misinformation, which is a major challenge today. Remember the AI technology. At the same time, it encourages critical thinking and inspires curiosity, especially among younger generations. Finally, public engagement is not just about understanding science, it's about become active participant in it. The challenge of traditional education, of course, the traditional approach tends to focus on passive learning, where people simply receive information without interacting with it. As a result, complex concepts can be difficult to understand, and many people, like this one, lose interest. This creates a gap between science and society, a gap between happy and sadness. So the challenge is clear. We need new ways to bring science closer to the people. Maybe the answer is yes. To address these challenges, we can use technology as a bridge between science and the public. Technology allows us to transform learning from a passive experience into an interactive one. It helps simplify complex concepts through visuals and real-time interaction, making them easier to understand. At the same time, it encourages active participation and condenses scientific knowledge with everyday life. One of these is the gamification. What means gamification? Gamification means using game ideas in learning. It makes learning more fun and interesting. With points, levels, and rewards, students feel motivated to take part and finish tasks. Challenges and small competitions help students stay active and think better. The students have fun. Team activities help them work together and learn from each other. At the same time, quick feedback helps students understand what they did right or wrong. In this way, science is not just something to memorize, of course. It becomes something to explore and enjoy. Now look at this table. The table compares the main features of gamification platforms. For example, we have an open source platform like OpenEDX with gamification features, and the famous Kahoot platform, which provide live quiz, leaderboard, etc. As we can see, this platform includes the most important function for their use. Let's talk about the key technology in science education. There are several education technologies that can help make science more engaging and accessible. Augmented reality and virtual reality allows users to experience concepts in a more immersive way. Mobile applications make learning available anytime and anywhere, of course. Gamification introduce elements like challenges and rewards, making learning more fun and motivations. And finally, the physical computing. Physical computing connect the real world and the digital world via sensors and actuators. Now we have to understand the augmented reality under pedagogical issues. One of the biggest shift technology brings in the move from the passive to active learning. Instead of just receiving information, learners become active participants in the process. They learn by doing, of course, experimenting and interactive with content. They also receive immediate feedback, the right answer, the wrong answer, which helps them understand and improve faster. In addition, collaboration and interaction with others make it the experience more engaging. This approach by augmented reality not only improves understanding but also makes learning more engaging. Let's see some platforms in this table. This table compares the main feature of AR platforms. Of course, there are open source platforms like AR.js platform, which create experience without installing apps. And of course, there are commercial platforms like AR Core, the famous AR Core, or for Apple AR Kit. This helps, as I said, compares the main feature of AR platforms. It shows which features are included and which are not. As we can see, most platforms have the basics function needed. Of course, I prefer the open source platform because the open source platform it's free. Virtual technologies. Virtual reality takes immersive learning a step further by placing students inside a globally simulated environment. They can explore scientific phenomena up close, interact with objects, and see processes that could be difficult to visualize otherwise. In a previous presentation, we saw Nikki with the glass of VR technology. This makes learning more engaging. Moreover, virtual reality encourages curiosity. Students, of course, naturally ask questions, experiment, and explore, fostering a love for science and discovery. And of course, I have in these slides many platforms under the category of open source platform, like A-Frame platform for virtual reality, and of course commercial platforms by the famous Unity, which development VR applications. So let's see and let's talk about the physical computing for higher education. Physical computing is about using simple electronics, devices, and programming to interact with the real world, all these components. Students use the sensors to collect information, to collect data, like temperature, like solar radiation, and then use the code to make something to happen, like turn on a light, an LED, or moving a stepper motor, or moving a servo motor. This makes learning more practical and hands-on. It helps, of course, the students understand how technology works in real life, improve their problem-solving skill, and become more creative. There are many devices under the physical computing development. One of the famous is the Arduino. Arduino is a small and easy to use electronic device that allows us to create interactive systems. This is the Arduino platform, and this is on breadboard. With Arduino, students can connect sensors and components, write simply code using the Tinkercad Autodesk online platform, and make this happen in the real world. Students don't just learn theory, they build real project. They build the system. They development the physical computing. This helps them develop problem-solving skills, understanding how system works, and become more creative. As I said, Tinkercad is a free online platform that allows students to design and simulate projects. Tinkercad includes tools for 3D objects, electronic components, and code using blocks. In physical computing, students can build and test circuit with Arduino or other platforms like Microbit, sensors and components, all in a virtual environment without need a real hardware. At this point, let me present a simple example to show how is it for students to create their own physical system to measure, for example, the soil moisture on a hill. For this purpose, we use the Tinkercad platform. This is the Tinkercad platform. And at this time, I choose to create a virtual circuit. In front of me, I have the workbench. On the right, I have all the components like LED, resistors, Arduino, breadboard, sensors like soil moisture sensors. And let me to make an example to see how easy to develop a physical system in class in this virtual environment. First of all, I will choose an Arduino platform, a soil sensor, remember the topic of this virtual physical computing system is to measure the soil moisture on a hill using this soil moisture. And I will use an LED and a resistor to reduce the current to LED. And of course, a small breadboard, because I want to connect all these devices in this virtual environment using virtual wires. I put the LED on the breadboard, connect my resistor to reduce the current in this LED. I have to give the value in this register maybe 100 ohms. And using this virtual wire, I will connect this LED via resistor to the port, to digital port 7. And the cathode, I will connect to the GNT pin into Arduino. Now I have to connect my soil moisture sensor. Soil moisture sensor has 3 pins. Has the power, because it's a device. I will connect the power to 5V. Of course, I can change the color of this wire. I connect the GNT, I use the black one wire to connect the GNT of device to GNT platform. And of course, I will connect using maybe a blue wire, the signal to the analog port A0. Now I have make all the connection in this environment, in this virtual workbench. As I said, I have the Arduino, I have a breadboard for connections, an LED as indicator, a resistor to reduce the current from the port digital 7 to LED, and the sensor, the soil moisture sensor. Now I have to program this Arduino, to program this physical computing to measure the moisture, the soil moisture, and if the level of the soil moisture is above than maybe 500 in a scale, I want the indicator turn on. Here is the library of the code. As you can see, we use easy way blocks to programming this platform. And of course, because I have a statement, if the input, which input? The input of this value of signal. If the volume of signal, which read via analog pin A0, is greater than 50, hop, 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 then I want to set pin. Which pin? The pin 7, the digital pin 7. Pin 7 to high. And of course, if they read analog pin, the value is under the 500, because the scale of these measurements is in an indicator value 0 to 1000. I want to set pin 7 because the LED is connected to pin 7 to low. And the final, I want to see the value of signal from this soil moisture to check my code. And of course, I want again to read analog pin 0, yes, because my signal is connected to analog 0. And maybe I have completed my code. So, extended the serial monitor, and now I have to start the simulation. When the simulation is started, here is my virtual soil moisture sensor with slice. When the value of this sensor gives more than 500, I have 547, the LED is turned on as indicator. Maybe this is a simple project for the student to make alarm under the specification of soil moisture sensor in a didactic scenario. So now I will stop my simulation, and using the Tinkercad, using this environment, it's very easy to make physical computing using sensor actuators, Arduino platforms, and etc. I will continue with my presentation. As I said, there are many platforms. There is not only the Arduino platform. The microbit is a small, simple computer. This is the microbit, another platform. Students can use it to learn coding electronics, like the Arduino as we saw. It has lights, all these LED lights. It has buttons, the A buttons, B buttons, embedded in this device. It can detect things like movement, temperature, and light because this device includes many sensors. And with microbit, students can create things like games, alarms, small experiments, exactly the same experiments which make before with Arduino. And of course, it's very easy to use and create for learning by doing. And of course, the cost of all these components is very cheap. So let's talk about mobile apps for science education. Mobile apps make science learning easy to access anytime and anywhere. This is true. Students can learn in different ways by watching video, doing quiz, using the mobile, using app under the Kahoot applications. Apps also help students work together. They can share ideas, join challenges, and talk with others. This makes learning more social and more interesting, of course, and learnings become flexible, interactive, and of course, open for everyone. This is the famous platform for mobile learning to develop a mobile application, the MIT App Inventor. What is the MIT App Inventor? MIT Inventor is a free open source platform that allows students to create mobile applications using drag and drop techniques on this platform. Instinct to write complex code. User build apps by dragging and drops blocks, as we said, which makes it very easy to learn, especially for beginners. Students in secondary maybe schools use MIT App Inventor to create their apps. By using AVR, VR, AR, gamification, physical computing, and mobile apps, we create a more engaging way to learn science. All this technology lets students interact with what they learn. They don't just watch, they do. The famous phrase, learning by doing. Games help students stay motivated and active. Mobile apps make learning easy and flexible. Students can learn anytime, anywhere. So now the heart may be discussed in this presentation. Let's look at some key challenges in using technology in science education. First, the access. Not all students have devices or good internet. Also, tools like VR and AR, because expensive, not all students have this one. Second, digital skills. Of course, teachers and students need training to use these tools well. New technologies can be difficult at the beginning, but after that, the education technology provide the easy way to create applications. Third, content. It takes time to create good and interactive learning material. This is true. Often teachers need to work with tech teachers. For example, a teacher in the science of physics maybe have to collaborate with an ICT teacher. What do we have to do? How we can solve? To solve these challenges, we focus on three main ideas. First, affordable devices like Arduino, open source, like Microbit, like another device as a Raspberry Pi. All students should have access to technology. Second, teacher training. Teacher needs to need the right digital skills to use these tools well. And finally, simple and easy designing. Technology should be easy for both teacher and student to use, easy applications. And what happened to the future? The future of science education is more interactive, more engaging, and more personal, like this image in these slides. Technology like VR and AR will give real hands-on experience. Interactive methods like games and simulation will become part of everyday learning. Mobile and cloud tools will make learning easier to access. Physical computing connect the real world, the real problems into the digital world, into the class. So, finally, the personalized learning. This means learning is adjusted to the students' needs. With adaptive content, students learn at their own pace. They take their time understanding before moving forward. At the same time, they get quick feedback, so they know how they are doing and what to improve. And finally, our words, our phrase is learning by doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kostas, for this interesting presentation. And it is very nice to see how many tools we have in order to educate our students, no matter what their age are. And it was very interesting to show in a live way how easy is even to program with Python, and how you may make students programming in an easy and pleasant and enjoyable way. If there is any question for Kostas, it's the right time to do that. If you think later of something, you may post a message at the chat. And in any case, all speakers of the workshops, we are here. And if you think something after the end of the workshop, we are still here to reply to you. Don't hesitate to contact us. And okay, now let's go to the final speaker for today. I'm not sure if I pronounce the name correctly. It is Andrada Fiskoutin. She is an assistant professor at the University of Bucharest and a science and technology journalist. Her research focuses on how journalists communicate scientific uncertainty. She has more than 25 years of experience in radio and media, and she also contributes to the BBC World Service. She has written for major international outlets such as The Guardian, Nature, and Foreign Policy, covering topics like AI, cyber security, and new technologies. Her work has received several international awards, and she was also a fellow at MIT. Since 2021, she teaches science communication, and she has co-edited a guide for science journalism. You understand that it is very important to have her among us today, because it is the way that we as scientists can communicate what we are doing to the public. So the floor is yours. You may try to share your screen with us. Good, perfect. We can see your screen. Exactly. I think we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Now let me try to share my screen again. And
Okay.
thank you so much to Dr. Mihaela Verga for inviting me to this. Okay, the entire screen. Allow. And now we should be good to go. So thank you so much for the invitation. It's always difficult to talk about two incredibly great presentation. I really think that Eleni and Konstantin are great science communicators already. So I'm not sure if they need whatever I'm doing here. And I really liked how Kostas played with Tinkercad. So as you mentioned earlier, I'm a junior researcher at the Faculty of Journalism here at the University of Bucharest. And I've been doing some science and technology journalism for the past decade and a half. And when I'm thinking about science communication, I'm thinking of a large array of activities that researchers and science communicators can do. And sometimes it's the little things that we do that matter the most. And talking to large audiences is one thing, but also trying to communicate science to our closest friends or our family, I think is equally important. So I would focus on communities regardless of how they are distributed. And I'm also a fan of involving the general public into smaller citizen science projects, because I feel like when people are trying to do a little bit of science on their own, this basically helps them understand how science works and why it's important. So it's a wide array of things anyone can do as science communicator. It doesn't only mean talking to journalists or going on a TEDx stage. It also means talking to family and friends and trying to debunk a couple of things that have inundated social media. So I think everyone should do as much as they can, and in the manner that's more comfortable to them, but maybe just a little bit getting out of our comfort zone, because I feel like there's a lot of reward when we get just a little bit out of our comfort zones. So this is according to Quest project, and I stand by this. These are some of the quality indicators for science communication, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds to look at this image. So this isn't rocket science. We can break those qualities into 3 buckets. So it's trustworthiness and scientific rigor, which is like the bucket scientists tend to like the most, because they like to be rigorous. They like to present their research in a very, very scientific and factual manner. So this is super important. This is where uncertainty, which is one of my favorite topics when it comes to science communication, also falls. It's important to be transparent about what we know and what we don't know. And also it's important to admit that there might be things that we don't know. When we present something to a smaller or a large audience, is of course important to be clear. It's important to have a little bit of charisma, that Reese, if you want me to put it in Gen Z terms. It's also good to interact with the audience, to just listen to them whenever possible, and to give context. And of course, it's important to have a connection with society, and this is where policy can make a difference, because if we can tell to a large enough part of society that it's important to fund science or to do things in a certain manner, then that thing can translate to a little bit of public pressure, and then it can turn into some policy measures that are going to help the planet move a little bit forward. So the most important thing is to make science accessible. And this is a struggle that I have as a science and technology journalist, because I often find studies that I need to translate to a large audience that maybe is not that interested in science, and maybe doesn't want to hear about science at all. So I'm thinking about science like veggies on a plate. So people want to eat everything else, but not the veggies. And I should find an interesting way to hide those veggies in whatever the person is trying to eat. This is a fantastic study, though, and it's easy to understand. And whenever I find a study, I try to ask these questions. What are the main findings? Who is affected? Is there a community who is most impacted by that study? Who are the people who care the most about that? It's also important to put that study into the broader field of research, to communicate the context, and also to ask the question, so what? Why does this matter? Why is this study important? And this is a question I ask a lot as a journalist. And I remember talking to the team who discovered I talked to them a few weeks ago, the team who discovered a new strain of bacteria in the Scrișoara ice cave in Romania, and this was a central question to the that I asked. Why is this important? Why does this matter? And also, it's also relevant to acknowledge the limitations and the uncertainties surrounding a paper. So if you can, please scan this QR code to find the study that I mentioned earlier. And we're going to do a short exercise in which you are asked to explain the study in 2 sentences using a language that a 14-year-old would understand. And the study is also accessible through the platform that stores the educational materials and the bibliographic resources, but you can also scan this. So I will give you a minute to scan the QR code and then read the abstract and then write those 2 sentences based on the abstract. Okay. If anyone would like to share with us the sort of sentences they had written, you can simply put those into the chat, and we're going to discuss them a little bit later. Now, that was an easy to read paper, and I would say that if and when a paper is easy to read, then it's making a service to science, and it has the potential of reaching many more people. But then this is another study that's more difficult to read. You can of course scan the QR code here, but I also put the abstract on the screen, and you can and we can take a couple of seconds to just scan it a little bit. You don't have to read everything. Now, even though this study is like a little bit more complicated to read, it still matters, and it's still important. And often as a journalist, I also have to do some extra work to be able to interpret it. But there are ways now with technology, if this is not your specific areas you know the most of, to just try to use some AI tools. And I'm using these AI tools not necessarily to help me help me understand the science, but more to help me translate the science. Because when you use the prompt, explain the following abstract to a 14-year-old, I'm using this to brainstorm ways and more concrete ways and metaphors that I could use to explain the study to a 14-year-old. And of course, this is double checked. I'm not making AI do my work, but it sometimes, every now and then, it has an idea that I couldn't come up with. Maybe a metaphor or something that I could use. And I also use explain the following abstract in 3 sentences conversationally. This is also a prompt that works and that could help any of us understand and explain to a larger audience a study that's maybe not that close to what we are doing on a daily basis. And also going back to the so what question, explain why is this study important conversationally, maybe putting the entire study in the context. Okay, and there are papers that can support this way of working. There are papers that say that science summaries written by artificial intelligence help people understand research and trust scientists. And this is from 2024. I believe that things are a little bit better now, so even better. And this is another tool that I use, consensus.app. It also has a free version, and you can simply ask questions, put a question there, and the answer that this website is going to give is based on the scientific papers it accesses. So will the Danube Delta be affected by climate change? Well, yes. And this is how the answer is presented. And what's interesting is that the tool offers a consensus meter. So it talks about the scientific consensus on certain tools. I mean, for climate change and the Danube Delta, things are clear, but in other fields, and I'm thinking of psychology, for instance, research is not that clear. So it's an interesting tool to play with if you want to. When I'm trying to explain difficult concepts, I'm also thinking about these 4 things. So first, I try to have an example first, and then to talk about science after I present that example. And I feel like this works better to people. And it's maybe a little bit counterintuitive, but this works better because we kind of tend to learn better from examples and from mistakes. So I try to use these two things. I'm also thinking at MAYA, most advanced yet acceptable. This is an acronym that I've stolen from the advertising industry. So I'm trying to offer the most advanced explanation that I can that's still acceptable to that audience. So I'm trying to talk to a 14-year-old or to a 5-year-old, thinking about the knowledge they have at that time. Another thing that works is to explain things in steps. So step 1, step 2, and so on and so forth. And it's equally important to use simple words, so no jargon. So as little jargon as possible in short sentences, of course. And now, how can we make science interesting? Throughout my career, I've talked about science in multiple ways. I talked about science using Legos. I did an entire segment at the BBC about a Lego toy that I received 2 years ago, and we talked about whether I should open the box or not, and what happens to the price of Legos in time. And it feels like if you have a mint condition Lego set, that's going to outperform bonds and stocks and other financial instruments that are available. So if any of you is thinking about retirement now, buy Lego sets that are big or small and just might work just fine. The only thing is that we shouldn't open them. So one way to make science interesting is to start with a question. Another way to make it interesting is to start with a strange fact, something interesting. So shale rock can contain billions of tiny spores, smaller than most bacteria. This is a strange fact, and you can build on top of that. And also have a quick poll, a show of hands, who thinks parts of the Danube Delta will be lost as a result of climate change, for instance. And also, it's nice to have simple analogies, and I saw that Konstantina used something like that earlier in her talk. She talked about natural cement, which I think was great. And to try to convert what's happening in science, so phenomena and so on, into day-to-day activities like lemon juice breaking down food or factory processing raw materials into new products. It helps if we tell a personal story when we have it. Did anything interesting happen to us when we were a kid, so during childhood? Is there a memory that can be connected to what we're doing today? Did anyone ask you a question that was interesting and can be used to connect a real life event with the paper? Or if not, is there a movie or a book plot that might be tied to what we're doing? And of course, these questions shouldn't be forced. They should come naturally. And I mean, if they feel forced, maybe it's not a good idea to use them. Again, why does this research matter? This is something we should definitely include when we talk about science, and it's best if we include this early on. So structurally, I would have an example, and then I would say why this matters, and then I would go into science. And of course, it can be the other way around. Example, science, why this matters, and then science again. Visuals also help. This is a cool site, a cool data visualization tool if you want to use Flourish.studio. It also has a free version, but now they're moving a lot of features from the free version into the paid version. There's also scientificinfographics.com, and this website has a fantastic gallery of infographics that are under Creative Commons and can be used. And some mind-blowing facts. So, for example, phytoplankton, there are around 750 species. Dolphin population decreased by X%. These are also nice to include if they are somehow tangent to the study we're presenting. And then it's good to end with a memorable takeaway. For instance, the Black Sea is already one of the most oxygen-depleted seas on Earth. Climate change is making the space for life even smaller. And one last thing, this is a game I'm completely obsessed with. It's called Metazua. The address is, the URL is metazua.com. And you're supposed to guess the animal. There's also a version for plants. And I won't be offended if you're going to play Metazua for the remaining part of our conversation. Thank you so much. This is my email address. I should be easy to find. I try to be easy to find online. And whenever you're publishing a fantastic paper, I would be happy to hear all about it. And now, if you have questions, I'm happy to listen to them. I try to be fast and efficient.
Thank you very much. You said so many interesting things for all of us, and how to make our the results of our research more interesting for the public. I don't know if there are any questions. Just comments. Thank you for it. Was very interesting. Okay, I'm sure it was very interesting. This was the last workshop of our session of trace workshops. It was dedicated to the Greek community, but not only. Also colleagues from other places all around joined us, but the focus was the Greeks, because now we start another series, similar, the same one, in fact, in Romania and in France. And just to let you know that if you have missed one of these workshops, you can join in the forthcoming weeks that is happening in Romania. We have here Mihaela Verga, who is leading the series in Romania. Maybe, Mihaela, you would like to say something.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Andrada, for being so kind to join us in this workshop series. And I really hope you will be with us also for the next two series as well. It is great to see how many students join us. So much interest shown by Greek students, and not only, because we have also Romanian and from other countries students, but it is really a joy to see that our results raise interest. And I really hope we will keep this status high for the next series as well. In fact, it was quite challenging to see that you gather more than 100 people in these workshops. And I really hope to find the same engagement and the same interest through Romanian and French students from the following workshops. It was great.
I'm sure
Thanks
about
very
that.
much.
I am sure about that.
No, I thank you for that. And
Just to
thanks to
let you
all.
know that so far we have more to prepare more than 400 of certificates, and we are distributing them to the students. If any of you have not yet received, don't worry. It will take a few more days to send them to you. You will for sure receive it. And just to remind you that if you have missed one or more of workshops, you can follow us in those that we are organizing in Romania by Michaela, or in France by another colleague. And also, we will keep you updated with other activities we are doing, because as we mentioned in the first workshop, there is a platform, an open platform, full of educational material, full of games through which you may learn about climate change in different geomorphic environments. There is material both for students but also for tutors that you may freely use. So we will contact you again. We have already kept your emails, and we will contact you again in order to send you this material, the links, more information okay, thank you, Kostadina. She has already posted in our chat the e-class platform where you may find all this material, and we are keep adding. So I think this is the end, and thank you so much for joining us. And just to remind you that we are here if you think, if a question cross your mind later on, we are here and we will be very glad to contact you again. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much for everything.
Thank you, Bogdan. Nice to see you again.